What's going on, everyone? So, DeAndre Ayton very likely is going to be a Laker. We'll see. Nothing is for sure until it actually happens. But the question is, okay, great. You go get DeAndre Ayton. Who's your backup? Right? You going with Jackson Hayes again? Sure, but I kind of like him more as like your third big. Christian Koloko, same thing. Trey Jamison, same thing. So it's like, well, who's your backup? There's not very many on the market remaining. Most of them got signed. Even a guy like Jericho Sims that I talked about that I'm like, hey, I wouldn't mind taking a flyer on. He even recently re-signed with the Milwaukee Bucks. Lakers could obviously go trade for a guy. Right, a Nick Richards is a guy that comes to mind. Andre Drummond apparently is being shopped. Just get you a quality backup that can play the role, fill in, and maybe even be a long-term answer, right? Another option is Al Horford. And the Los Angeles Lakers, per reports, are strongly considering bringing in Al Horford as a backup in addition to an Andre Ayton type of player, right? And look, this shouldn't be like a real surprise because there have been reports, and I've talked about it on several occasions, that the Lakers want a more veteran backup, that they want somebody that, has that experience, kind of been in deep playoff runs, has been there, done that. Ayton obviously is a guy that has been there, but Ayton was a guy that no one thought was actually going to be expected or, available outside of being traded for, right? No one expected that to happen. There we go. But I wouldn't mind Horford. Obviously, the concern is just the age, right? He's 39. So he's a guy that is older in age. For a short-term backup role, I wouldn't want him to be your starter. If he's your starter, you're in trouble because he's not a true 7-footer, excellent floor spacer, guy that still is incredibly productive in a limited role, was really good for Boston the last, handful of years for them, and is a guy that I'd be more than happy to have in a backup role that, on a random night he's starting or whatever, Ayton gets the night off, he starts, right? Maybe you do bring back a Jackson Hayes or a Koloko or something like that, and then that's your backup for the night. Something like that I'm okay with, but there are some questions, right? At what point does Horford start to see a big drop off? Although his style of play, he's not this hyper athlete, he's just your savvy veteran, old guy that he hustles, he works, he does his thing, he plays his role, not afraid of the moment. Has hit some big shots over the course of his career. A guy that can still play some defense, get you a steal, get you a block, spread the floor. He'd also be a really good kind of LeBron center. Right, some of the things that I've talked about is having those different versions of centers, right? Have the floor running, high flyer, kind of skilled big, right, in a DeAndre Ayton, then maybe have a more physical, imposing, kind of like a Trey Jamison, and then having, kind of that floor spacing big, right? Have the different versions of a big man. Talk about the 2020 season, right? You had Anthony Davis, who was your skilled big, who could do everything. You had Dwight Howard, who was just your physical enforcer, the guy picking up the tech, the guy giving the hard foul, picking up a flagrant, nothing dirty, just, a good hard playoff foul. And then you had a guy in JaVale McGee, who was the high flyer, floor running, lob threat big man. Well, Ayton kind of gives you a little bit of the high rise, because he is hyper athletic, can jump through the gym, so he could be that, basically lob threat for Luka Doncic, as well as he is a skilled big. He can run the pick and pop action, he can score, you can get the ball to him, but he also doesn't need plays ran for him. So you kind of get 2 for 1 in that. Then you could bring in an Al Horford, who again just gives you that solid, stable veteran. He's also a guy you could slot alongside DeAndre Ayton, which I think is very important, right? So when you do play those teams with dual bigs, right, you can go and run both of them. You're playing, Memphis, right? And they have a Zach Edey out there. Well, DeAndre Ayton can defend Zach Edey, and then, Al Horford can go and defend Triple J, right? Just have that versatility out there. I don't mind it, right? I wouldn't, obviously, with his age, not a guy that you're looking for as a long-term answer. He's not a guy you're locking in and going, okay, this is going to be our backup center for the next 5 years. But a guy that, for a year or two, kind of in a backup role, if you do find that better backup, then now Al Horford can maybe be and slot in as your third big. But because of his shooting ability and his floor spacing ability, he's a guy that could also slot in at the 4 and kind of give you that combination, right? They ran Kristaps Porzingis and Al Horford at times before that, Robert Williams and stuff. Right? So I would be excited. I do think he's a guy that I think can be the difference, right, in a marginal sense for a playoff game or a series or things like that, just because of the impact that he has. I mean, he was that for the Celtics, right? So to think he can't be that for a team like the Lakers, I just think would be silly. He, of course, could be that. A guy that, can hit the big shot or, get a big block. He's a guy that I think would just add some stability at the veteran sense. Lakers are trying to get younger. They're trying to get the young athletic wings, right? You need youth and athleticism. I've talked about it very, very heavily, but that doesn't mean you can't have a veteran piece or two, right? It doesn't mean you have to go all, 22-year-olds, right? You can have some seasoning out there on the basketball court, especially in those deep playoff runs or those big moments. You're in a game 7, right? You can trust Al Horford out there to make a play. You can trust Al Horford out there to not mess it up, right? That he can hit the shot. If he gets the ball, he's been there 100 times. He's been there in finals and deep conference finals and all of that stuff. So he's not worried about the pressure or anything like that. He's a guy that has delivered in those spots and in those moments. So I do really like the idea of bringing in Al Horford as a backup if you were to get an Ayton. I think he is kind of that. He's that LeBron big, right? Luka, he likes to create that dribble penetration, collapse the defense, have the outlet as the lob threat. The defense doesn't collapse, then it's easy buckets. He just shoots over the top, right? So he's fine with the traffic. He likes the traffic. But LeBron is actually the opposite, right? LeBron wants to clear out. He wants the other 4 guys out on the perimeter being able to shoot so he can put his head down, get to the basket, and then kick out to the shooters. So Al Horford would make more sense in that version, right? So you could even, what you do is have Luka out there with Ayton at all times. So he always has that lob threat. And then when LeBron is on the court and LeBron's operating as, the primary, playmaker, or he's looking to be aggressive, have Al Horford out there. So that way he has that outlet to kick out to. And then Al Horford can still, protect the rim and do all those things on the defense side of things. Now, again, he's not a true 7-footer, but he is a guy that is, he's 7'1" wingspan, he's 6'9", he's 240 pounds, so he's got good size, good strength. He's got, the old man strength as far as, being a player out there. He just turned 39 too, by the way, so it's not like he's 39 about to turn 40. No, he wouldn't be 40 until, the Lakers are in the NBA Finals, which, that'd be a great birthday present to win an NBA championship with Al Horford. So I do like the different style of look with him. I would still want to bring in, ideally, a third big, right? Like I said, a Koloko or a Trey Jamison, somebody that, can give you kind of the heavy minutes in a pinch if you needed it. Al Horford, I mean, he's a guy that he plays, but he gives you about 60 games a year. De'Andre Ayton, there are some questions, how many games is he going to give you each year? But as long as they're both giving you around, ideally, 65 to 70, that would be great. But if they're both giving you around 60, then I definitely want to bring in kind of that third big and kind of fill in the gaps. But what does Al Horford bring? Well, again, you look at last season. 60 games played, 42 games started, 27.7 minutes per game, 7.7 field goal attempts per game, shot 42.3% from the field, 5.2 attempts from three-point range, shot 36.3% from the floor. Now, that was the lowest he's done in outside of his first year in Boston, not the previous tenure, right? I'm talking about, because remember, he went to Philly for a year and then went back to Boston. So basically, or we went to Philly and then OKC, then Boston. But since basically 2021, 2022 season, from three-point range, he shot 33.6% on 3.8 attempts, but then he shot 44.6% on 5.2 attempts. That'd be amazing if you could get that. And then 42% on 4 attempts. So can he get back up playing alongside a LeBron James, playing alongside a Luka Doncic, right? Can he get back up to being that 40% three-point shooter? He is a career 38% guy. So even if he's just around there, even if he's just around 38%, that's perfect, right? That's fine, especially as a floor spacing big off the bench. But ideally, if you could get into that 40% range playing alongside the type of playmakers that Luka and LeBron are. 2-point range. Last year was 55.1%, which again was down from the previous year, which was 65.8% on 2.5 attempts. EFG of 54.7%, which again is down from 64%. Free throw shooting, 89.5% compared to, which was actually up from the 86.7%. 6.2 rebounds, which is kind of on par with what he's been with Boston. The last like handful of seasons, he was 7.7, 6.2, 6.4, and 6.2. So he's basically been around 6.5 rebounds per game. So he gives you that. He is a career 8 rebound a game guy. 2.5 assists, half a steal, or it's over 5, so let's call it a full steal, full block, and 9 points per game. So again, you talk about a guy that's basically, 9-7, 9-6, right? In a bench role, I think it would be fine. I think that'd be fantastic, right? Like, you give him 20, 25 minutes a night. He's a guy that can slot in, play that role. Again, you're probably not paying him anything crazy. You can get him for a vet minimum. Why not? Right? I think he's a guy that could come in, slot in, again, not as a starter or anything like that, as a backup. And the Lakers are looking to add him in addition to De'Andre Ayton. So it's like you bring in Ayton as your starter and then Al Horford as your backup. But let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments. That being said, if you haven't liked this video, hit that like button. House or not, we enjoy these types of videos and I truly appreciate it. Not subscribe channel, hit that subscribe button, turn on the bell notifications. Appreciate y'all. See you in the next one. Thank you.